Good morning, Zio here, and today is Sunday, which means it's time for our Sunday gaming roundup, where we go ahead and take a look back throughout the week, see what all we talked about, and make any possible, maybe any major corrections if they've come out or something like that, or, just retouch on it, sort of just, that end of the week, this is everything we've done kind of deal. And of course, if you want to go see any of that, or dive deeper into the subject at hand or whatnot, all the links and everything will be down in the description down below for you to go take a look at that. And if there's something you missed and you want to know a little bit more, that's how you go about doing that. So with all that, go grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? And before any of that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you should go ahead and do so now. I am building an army, and our goal is world domination. So, we need more for that. Anyway, this week there was quite a bit to cover. There's still more to cover that we haven't covered just yet, but we've got next week to do it, right? So, Monday, we talked about this... FPS. This new Cyberpunk game from Tencent. Yeah, that's a thing that's gonna happen. Called SYN, and it's gonna be a cross-platformer shooter. And we talked about that. I really don't have much to add about this at all. It's a thing that's happening. It's Tencent, so however you feel about that. Overall, it does kind of look good, and it just sort of shows that Cyberpunk is coming back, right? Because pretty much due to like Cyberpunk 2077, Cyberpunk is coming back. There are other games that are releasing that are more Cyberpunk-esque, which is cool because I really like the genre of Cyberpunk. I think we actually discussed a game yesterday that is coming out this week that's also Cyberpunk. So, granted, I think it was a point and click, if I remember correctly. But yeah, this is a thing that's going to happen. It kind of looks good. It is 10 cents, so yikes. But other than that, we'll just have to see where the cards fall on this, I guess. See how it goes. Although I can see a lot of monetization happening with this game, especially when you've got different hairstyles and colors and stuff like that. I mean, you want pink, it's gonna be at $1.50, please, or maybe $2.50. I don't know, it could be anything. But I can see that happening. Loot boxes, of course. Oh gosh, loot boxes. I'm so tired of loot boxes. Just die in a fire already. Anyway. But seriously, this is what we got. This is what we talked about. I did more going into it, Monday. So go take a look at that. I am not awake yet today. Like, usually I do these things on Saturday, right? Saturday afternoon and or Saturday morning, whenever it is. But I did not get around to actually recording this until this morning. It is now like 9:35 recording this, and I'm just not awake yet. It's too early for me. It's too early for me, and I have to get up and go to work super early every day anyway. So yeah, okay. Anyway, so we moved on from there to talk about NBA 2K21. So what we were actually talking about, because I know the top of this article is, 60 games. So that is not what we talked about Tuesday. Tuesday, we looked at it, said it was a thing, and moved on, right? What we were more interested in was this stuff right down here. How 2K is essentially locking behind, or locking the upgrade version of a game behind a $100 paywall. Yeah, it's a downright travesty. But so they are essentially going ahead, and it's like, hey, the Xbox 5, the Xbox Series X, and the PS5 are coming out. They're right around the corner. We're going to be releasing these games, you know. So if you want to get it on both the PS4 and the PS5, you can, but you got to give us a $100 to do so. And we went through this. We looked at what all the stuff they're giving you for doing that and all this other stuff, and you know, it sucks. It really does. These sports games are horrendous. Look, I'm sorry. I'm going to level with you. If you love the sports games, then that's fine. I'm not knocking on you for liking them. However, you're being cheated every single year that you go and buy these things. The developer is cheating you out of your money constantly, between having packs to open up just to get certain players and stuff. Among other stuff, there's not really a whole lot there. The games haven't evolved over time. You know, they get a slight graphical increase for the most part, but other than that, a lot of these games are the same as they were 10 years ago. And there's, well, I'm sorry, I lied. They're not the same as they were 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, you would have gotten a complete freaking game. You know? You would have actually had like the entire team at your disposal and stuff like that. And these days, they don't do that. They piecemeal you, you know, nickel and dime every little bit and aspect of the game nowadays, with a little bit of a graphical increase, and slap a new number on it and say, here you go. Here's your new game. It's brand new. You've got to get it because nobody's going to play the old one. And then people keep buying it. But yeah, that's how that went. And then we talked about this. This kind of came out of nowhere, because we were going to do the next day talking about game prices, right? And instead, this happened to have came up, and I decided to look into it. But Blizzard had changed, you know, the way certain things work in World of Warcraft Classic, because they're in the middle of fighting a bot pandemic right now, right? And, you know, I got it. You've got bots. You want to get rid of them. Bots were an issue. They've always been an issue. Not to... I mean, I don't feel like it was to this degree, but we are talking about like 14, 15 years ago, so I may not properly remember how bad the bot issue was back then. However, I do remember how they did things back then to prevent, you know, to keep them from actually just straight up, you know, banning people who weren't bots, right? Like, usually bots were set up, and yes, I know these things because I've looked into them back in the day. I didn't actually bot, but I did look into how to bot on World of Warcraft to do some things, but then never actually did it because, you know, I'm a good boy. I'm a good guy. No, I didn't want to lose my account, because if I got caught, that was it. You're starting back from literally zero if you want to play the game again. And I chose not to because the risk wasn't worth it. No, but you know, what you would do is you would set up your character to do a thing, right? A task, whether it's just running around and queuing for battlegrounds and then having them just continuously running or something, to make it kind of look like they're actually doing something, so they don't just AFK out, which is one of the reasons why Blizzard implemented the AFK thing, right? So if you AFK'd into a battleground for so long, it would kick you out of the battleground. If people reported you for AFK, I don't know how prevalent it is now, because I've not paid attention when I do, because I still love PvP. But at one point in time, you know, as soon as the match would start, up in the corner of the screen, right, it would come up, and suddenly you'd get a thing saying you need to do something because you've been reported by, you know, a bunch of people for AFKing, and a countdown will suddenly start, like a 60-90 second countdown or something would start, saying that you don't get up and move your ass and go do something, which, you know, kind of required you to actually go into battle with somebody real quick, like go get yourself, you know, into the fray. The system was going to kick you out for AFK, right? Because people might be thinking you're a bot if you don't move immediately. Like, everybody is sitting there right clicking, the group and saying report all for AFK, essentially. That was one of their ways of combating things. Now, Classic doesn't have that, of course, because it's Classic. And to be totally honest, Classic is in vanilla, and I don't see why Blizzard wouldn't implement some of their things into Classic like that. Little, small, minute little things just to keep, Classic from being overrun by things like bots. It's not that hard for them to implement some of these things like that particular PvP thing. This way they wouldn't have to worry about the bots and stuff. But they went through and they eliminated a huge chunk of bots, or not all of them were bots, of course. And then they made these changes with dungeons and stuff like that, because apparently if you run the same dungeon more than once in a 24-hour period, they think you're a bot too, which is what the whole focus of that video was how ridiculous that was, because there are sets and items and things that come out of dungeons and people run them. I mean, heck, I still run the same stuff every single week sometimes because I'm looking for, say, a particular mount or an item to sell on the and that's with retail, right? That's not just Classic. And there were other people who were getting hit with this by just running around and, say, herbing all day, which used to be a national pastime for myself back in Burning Crusade, getting the ability to fly and stuff like that. I remember finally getting my epic flight form, and that took an all-nighter just to attain once I got the ability to start doing that quest chain, right? And it was great, and it was amazing. I was like, yes, I can now fly at the fastest speed. I'm very, it was not an easy task to obtain, right? Because just how things were, not a whole lot of people had epic flight speed, let alone an epic flight mount, because of how much it costed. And, I was a druid with epic flight form now, which meant I could herb without actually coming out of flight form, and I could move at the fastest speed at that time. The only other speed I think that was faster was the 310 speed mount that came from Arena, if I remember correctly. So you had to be like in the top 1% of Arena or something like that, or the top person, I'm not sure, maybe it was like the best team, and they would gain a 310 mount speed or something like that, or a 310 mount that could go that fast. But I remember doing that because I ran around and I herbed all the time. But as a druid, if you're going to do that, it's the most efficient way is to herb as a bird, because you don't have to come out of your flight form to do so. You can pick the herbs while still in flight form, pick it and then go. And as a Tauren, you got increased picking speeds and all that good stuff. So, having people get banned for doing things like that is just a bit ridiculous at that point in time, because there's no reason for that at all. Blizzard is dropping the ball big time on this one. And yeah, I went further into that than I meant to. Anyway, so the next day we talked about game prices, right? This is where we were supposed to have gone beforehand. But yeah, we talked about game prices, dynamic pricing, and other stuff where I think games should go on sort of a pricing scale. We looked at past games, adjusted a little bit for inflation as much as we could, but I'm not a mathematician, so it is what it is. But we did have that discussion, so if you want to go join that discussion, there's a video on that. You can go ahead and go take a look at that. And then we did a video on the Atari VCS. I remember this, and then I forgot about it, and then I remembered it again, and we did a video on it, right? And I have realized that there are Atari stands everywhere. Yeah, we're gonna do another video on this, just so you know, because the Atari stands are they're a special kind of special. in my opinion. Anyway, long and the short of it, I hope this system really does good. I love the consoles, the classic consoles, I guess you can say. I really do like those a lot. I really would like to collect them all, of course, but that requires me to have money. And the Nintendo and the Super Nintendo ones are probably off the table now for a good long while, unless Nintendo decides to do a new push out of units. But yeah, I do wish this thing would do good, but the price, what they're asking for this versus what they're giving the customer, it's not good. It really isn't. There are red flags all over the place, and I hate to say it, it might be an Ouya level of oopsie, which is sad because I kind of wanted the Ouya to do something too. Glad I didn't waste any money on it, but really kind of wish I had it for my collection now, because I collect these things. I've got a few back here, and I think I hit the mic. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I collect things like this, and I don't know. They're asking close to $400 for it, but we'll see. Time will tell, right? And then Saturday, we did the same thing we've been doing every Saturday, because this has turned into a staple of the channel, where we take a look at what is upcoming. What's coming out for the following week. Every Saturday, if you don't know, we do an upcoming game list where we go ahead and we take a look at what games are coming out for the following week, right? Starting Monday, I think, right? Is that how we do this? I don't know. This is from the 13th to the 19th. So it's from Monday to Sunday. Yeah. So, yeah, we go ahead and we do this. So starting, the next Monday, what games are coming out. And sometimes I miss one or two. It happens for whatever reason. And I'll go back and look and realize, oh, hey, where was this game at last week when I was talking about games? Why do I not remember seeing this anywhere? Which is exactly how this episode actually started out. I can't remember what it was called now. But yeah, Hyperscape. That's what it was. Somehow I missed Hyperscape. And yeah, so anyway, yeah, that's going to do it. And this has been Sunday's gaming roundup. If you like what you like, like the video, all that stuff, give me a comment. Share it out there among the world. If you don't like it, dislike it, like the Atari stands. They really hate that one anyway. But yeah, I guess I will see you in the next one. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.